Thank you so much for the presentation. And really, I'm so pleased to be here today in this important subject that is so much needed. And all of you have mentioned before the lack of leadership, the needs that have to be getting together. And the subject said it, organized crime. They are organized. They are organized and we are not. And this is the missing point, that they take advantage of being organized for the bad, for the evil, for creating terror. And once they do it, it's too late for us to come back. But I would like just to speak about how I got back into politics, thanks to my dear President Jamil Mawat, who is also Lebanese, like me. And because I was living in Lebanon, I was born in Ecuador, but I was raised in Lebanon and married in Lebanon. The war started in Lebanon. So I saw all the terrorism that they are talking about. I saw how Bashir Gemayel, the elect president of Lebanon, was killed, and how all the problems happened and still are happening. Hopefully, it will be peace soon, thanks to President Trump. So fast forward, I came to Harvard. Mostly, I was an artist, but also my husband was in politics, and I lived all through politics. My father also loved politics, and it's for the peace. I came to Harvard. My art was promoting peace. The foundation we created was the Arts for Peace Through Politics Foundation at Harvard. And my professor was Professor Roger Fisher. And our professor of leadership also, Heifetz, Ronald Heifetz, because President Mawat also was there at Harvard. So my aim was to make peace in the Middle East. That was my dream. But the war between Ecuador and Peru started, and my life changed. And that's how we worked together. President Jamil is the president of peace. Thanks to him, we have peace and dollarization. Two things that Ecuador should be proud of it, and it's the only thing that's keeping us stable. Could you imagine if we didn't have peace with Peru at that time, with the Shining Path, and in the northern part with the FARC, and I am here with my dear President Andrés Pastrana, who was at the same time when we made the peace also. And having this with the North, now it was going on in Colombia, and Ecuador is not just Colombia, it's Mexico's cartels, and it's everyone that you could imagine being there. But the thing that happened when I was the first time ambassador here, I arrived in 1998, just after we signed the historic last border dispute of the hemisphere. And President Clinton was present, and it was one of the guarantor countries, together with Argentina, Chile, and Brazil. It was a historic peace that was signed in Brasilia on the 26th of October, 1998, and I became ambassador the next day here, thanks to President Mawat. And what happened? The first thing I arrived, Luis Alberto Moreno was ambassador of Colombia, and they invited us to Congress, to the Senate, to speak about Plan Colombia. And I was sitting next to Senator Christopher Dodd and former President Biden, who was a senator, Foreign Relations Committee. And they invited me because of Ecuador, because President Pastrana had given the piece of land on the frontier of Ecuador to the FARC at that time, the 620 kilometers of Ecuador's frontier with Colombia. And there was the Plan Colombia, and we knew that the balloon effect will come to Ecuador. So what will we do? So I was sitting next to them, and I was listening with no experience of what's going on yet. And they were talking about what was going to be happening. And I looked at Senator Dodd. He was my friend before I was ambassador. I said, Chris, what's going to happen to Ecuador? And he said, don't worry, we speak with your president. We'll arrange the things. And it happened. We made the Manta base. Thanks to the vision and the decision-making immediately of how to protect. It was not a military base. It was a protection for the narcos that were coming and were going through our oceans. So they built it, the Manta base, and it was a protected area. And we were going very well in everything that was being worked. Dollarization happened, and when dollarization happened in 2001, was that money laundering started happening because of dollarization. So the government fell, which is another mistake of changes in the governments. We have had, I don't know how many presidents in 5 years. I think there were more than 8 or 9 at that time. And then the thing that was mostly difficult is when former President Correa came. The first thing he did was not only open the Ecuador to everyone to come without visas or any conditions, he also closed the Manta base. He cut relations with the United States. He declared persona non grata to the ambassador of the United States and also to the head of the one that was representing the World Bank in Ecuador. He legalized small amounts of drugs. So the youth of Ecuador, whoever they got, they were making them have drugs, so they get contaminated. So we created a society that was going into the wrong direction. So this is the beginning of what was happening. Until, thank God, Lenín Moreno, his vice president, came and realized the reality of what was going on and stopped it. They tried to put him down so many times. He finished his 4 years. Guillermo Lasso came, as you all know, they put him out, also the same groups. And now what's happening with President Noboa, the same thing. So this is the forces of evil, the organized crime, the narco traffic, the terrorists that create terror, whatever you want to call them. This is the moment of leadership. If we don't get united now, it will be too late. And that's why we have to work together. We have to make the world what it needs, because with technology is the danger now. With artificial intelligence, with technology, they could use it even more for the evil if we don't do something us for the good. So I ask everyone, this is a great conference that we have to do more of this. We have to be vocal about that. And I want to end just by saying an applause for President Trump for making peace with Gaza and Israel. I think this is very important. So applause for that. The best is yet to come. Hope for the Venezuelan.